Hello, Helena. It's Sunday. It's really cold. It will get colder. It's a really good afternoon, really beautiful. And for today's video, I'm gonna have to class it up. So, wait a second. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I can think of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Class enough? I actually think that my head is too big for this hat, so I'm gonna take it off. If you recognize what I just said, let me tell you, you are amazing. Not only because it is an important part of one of my favorite movies, V for Vendetta, but also because it is the way that people remember the events of the 5th of November of 1605. Did I ever told you that I love stories? Well, I do. Okay, Mingo, that is pretty weird, so please explain yourself. I love stories and I'm going to tell you one of my favorites. The story of the Gunpowder Treason Day. The Gunpowder Treason of 1605 was an attempt to kill the King James I of England by a group of English Catholics led by Robert Catesby. But why? Why do they want to kill the king? Okay, let's get into this. When the King Henry VIII came along in the year 1540, he took control of the English church, and that was the beginning of a time of a lot of tension between Catholics and Protestants. The Church of England was a Protestant church, and it was growing up and becoming even stronger, so the Catholics were scared because they became the minority. When the daughter of Henry, Queen Elizabeth, came along and it was her time to rule the country, she created the Elizabethan religious settlement, which was basically that you had to be loyal to the Queen and to her religion, or you were going to have to pay a lot of money, go to prison, and eventually die. So of course all the Catholics were like, that was weird. The thing is that Queen Elizabeth didn't have a husband nor any children, so she had to choose who would be the next king or queen of England. And because of all the problems between the Catholics and the not Catholic people, the Catholics wanted a Catholic head of state, or at least someone that was tolerant to the Catholic groups. The Catholics were like, we should take the daughter of the Spanish king and make her our queen. Or maybe that other cousin of them that doesn't hate us and doesn't want our heads in a basket. Meanwhile, the Secretary of State, Robert Cecil, negotiated secretly with James VI of Scotland, who had a strong claim of the English throne as Elizabeth's first cousin twice removed. What? I don't know. I don't understand that either. James' succession was announced by a proclamation from Cecil on the 24th of March. And for the Catholics of this time, the idea of restoring the Catholic monarchy by force was more attractive. There were even early plots that included either kidnapping King James or killing him and then putting a Catholic monarch in his place. But they failed. James was also more tolerant than Elizabeth with the Catholic people. And I think that the best way to describe his tolerance in this subject is to quote him. He promised that he will not persecute any that will be quiet and obey the law, which seems fair. And about the punishments that they would receive, you know, cutting their head off, he said, I will be glad to have both their heads and their bodies separated from this whole island and transported beyond the seas. You've got to love this guy. So yeah, James was being really tolerant to the Catholics up to this point. There was no real need to take him down. This whole plotting thing seems very stupid if they are not in danger as long as they don't try to kill the king, right? Well, that was true. But as in every good story, something happened. February 19th, 1604. King James was being, a king and stuff, minding his own business, don't getting in problems with the freaking Catholics and stuff, when he discovered that Queen Anne, his wife, had been sent a rosary from the Pope. In that moment, James denounced the Catholic Church. 3 days later, he ordered all Jesuits and all other Catholic priests to leave the country. With that, the Catholics were pretty sure that there was no safe future for them in England as long as this king was alive, or at least not that easily. And here comes the plot. The conspirators principal objective was to kill King James. Another important objective was to kidnap the king's daughter, which was also called Elizabeth. Once the king and his parliament were dead, the plotters intended to take Elizabeth and put her as the head of state. I guess she was a little kid when they were planning that. They didn't thought that very well either, because when people asked them what they were going to do with Elizabeth's other two brothers, they were like, yeah, we are going to do something, I guess. So Robert Catesby starts planning this thing up. He starts looking for help, and he asked like the Pope and the Spanish king. The Pope Clement VIII was very concerned about this, and he said that using violence to try to restore the Catholic Church in England was only going to kill them all. Anyway, Catesby got some people together like John Wright, Thomas Winter, Thomas Percy, Guy Fawkes, Robert Keith, however you say that, Thomas Bates, Robert Wintour, Christopher Wright, John Grant, Sir Ambrose Rookwood, Sir Everard Digby, and Francis Tresham, and together they planned the plot. The 25th of March, the plotters found this building that had underground chambers and passages that went exactly below the House of Lords. It was unused and dirty, so it was the perfect place for what they wanted to do. Now, in this time, the gunpowder supplies were theoretically controlled by the government, because, you know, otherwise crazy people would get a lot of gunpowder and blow the freaking House of Lords, but it was easy enough to get gunpowder from illicit sources. The plotters were waiting the opening of the parliament to blow the House of Lords up, but it was constantly delayed, and the final date was the 5th of November. Because of that, the details of the plot were finally decided on October. In this plan, Fox will be left to light the fuse and then escape, while simultaneously a revolution will start in the Midlands that will have to capture Princess Elizabeth. Fox will then travel out of the country to explain what happened in England to the Catholic king. Okay, so far so good. The plot seems really good actually. How is it possible that these guys f***ed this up? Well, a friend of the king received an anonymous letter the 26th of October that explained everything about the plot. This man told the king about it the 1st of November, and the king requested to his guards to do a search of the House of Lords from head to toe. The first search of the building was made on Monday, 4th of November. They found a large pile of firewood in the caverns beneath the House of Lords, and there was a man that they thought was a serving man, and it was actually Guy Fawkes. So these guys just basically saw a bunch of firewood and a guy standing by right below the most important place in freaking England, and they were just like, oh, look, that's awesome. Not weird at all. They came back, they told the king that there was nothing suspicious, but the queen requested another search. Late that night, the guards returned to the passage, and they came across Fox once again, but this time he was dressed with a cloak and a hat, and he was arrested. He had a pocket watch, several slow matches, and torchwood. The barrels of gunpowder were discovered below the piles of wood and coal. Guy Fawkes was taken to the king on the early morning of the 5th of November. The king survived, some of the plotters were trapped and arrested, and then they were killed between the 30 and the 31 of January. And then the parliament decided that every 5th of November there would be an annual celebration on the king's life, which is what we call now the Guy Fawkes Day, or the Gunpowder Treason Plot Day, which is still celebrated in the United Kingdom. So that's pretty much it. That's how it happened. That's a story that I really like. I find it very interesting, and I wanted to share that with you today. So I hope you like it. I will see you next Wednesday.